Hey there. Welcome back to the Be Amplified podcast. I'm Amy Patee, the show host. Thanks for tuning in today. This is a show for conscious female entrepreneurs who want to let their energy lead, that are tuned into frequency and vibration and interested in really authentically expressing themselves, their energy in all that they do. And in today's episode, I want to give you just like a little reminder that you don't have to be perfect. You don't have to have perfectly curated content that you're putting out into the world. And it's okay for you to be a little messy in your business as you figure things out. And I want to give you a little backstory where this is coming from. And it's specifically around my podcast, this podcast that you're listening to right now. If you go back in time, if you listen to the first episode, the third, the fifth, whatever, if you go back in time and listen to a few episodes, you'll notice lots of different things. The sound quality, it's not perfect. And in fact, it's still not perfect. I have been experimenting with all different approaches to getting the sound right. And technology is changing so quickly right now. There's so many platforms coming out with, push a button to enhance your voice and boom, it's done. And there's all these different microphones that you can use. And some platforms say you don't even need a microphone anymore because we will edit your audio. We'll filter it to make it sound good. So it's one big experiment. And I am not an audio, producer. That's not my specialty. I'm not an expert in that, but I'm doing that because I'm a one-person show right now in my business. I do pretty much everything in my business. So I'm not an expert. I do the best I can. I experiment a lot, and I've talked about this before, but my human design profile is a 3-6. And if you have a 3-line in your profile especially, but really wherever you have a 3-line in your human design chart, and you may not know what I'm talking about at all right now, and that's okay. This is just really brief. But if you have a 3-line, especially in your profile, you are an experimenter. You need to try things out. You need to get your hands dirty, and you really learn by doing. So for me, I have to do it. And that means that you're going to, receive my podcast episodes as I'm learning. I'm not going to read a bunch of books and do a bunch of practice rounds and hire somebody to train me. I'm going to do it and put it out. And then the next time I do it, it might be a little bit more refined or a little bit better. It might keep getting better. It might get worse. It might get better. That's my process. And if you are an entrepreneur and listening to this, I want you to embrace that process as well, because being an entrepreneur really is a 3-line experience. If I was going to relate it back to human design, you have to be willing to experiment. If you're an entrepreneur, you have to be willing to try things out. You have to be willing to take risks. You have to be willing to step into the unknown once in a while, because no matter what, if you are an entrepreneur, no matter how much research you do, things are not always going to go as planned. And you are always learning as an entrepreneur. You are always going to be at the threshold of something new. So my podcast, this episode that I'm recording today, I'm actually recording on a brand new platform called Riverside, which I'm experimenting with. So I'm just on the free trial right now. I'm giving this a go. I'm experimenting. I previously have been using Adobe Podcast to record and edit my podcasts. And the Adobe suite, if you're familiar with it, it's expensive. It costs like $60 a month, and I really hardly use it. And so I'm just looking for ways to streamline the platforms I use, but also to streamline and more efficiently use my money. So I'm testing this out today, and we'll see how it sounds, and I'm giving it a go. And you can let me know if you want. You can DM me on Instagram or send me an email and let me know how the sound is for you if you would like. But again, just returning to my main point, you don't have to be perfect. And in fact, depending on what your business is, sharing your process, sharing your experience, sharing the messy parts with people can actually help them better relate to you. So if there's something that you've been holding yourself back on, let's say it's a podcast. Maybe you want to create a podcast. You want to put yourself out there in the world. You want to use your voice, and you just are worried you're not going to be able to figure out the technology. You don't have all the pieces together. You think you need fancy intro and background music and a professional editor, and you can't afford a professional editor. All those things that you kind of, add up and decide it's a no, I can't do it right now. What if you could do it? Because these platforms, seriously, they make it so easy for us to create these days. So what if there's a platform out there that will allow you to create really easily? And what if you don't have to have it perfect? What if you don't even have to know exactly how the podcast is going to roll out? When I started, I was just like, okay, this podcast is going to be about, business, the energetics of business, essentially. And sure, I came up with my little tagline. This is an energy-led business podcast. It's for soulful, conscious female entrepreneurs. We talk about leading with your energy. I had that as an outline, but I really didn't know where I was going to go. I had ideas in my mind about how it was going to look, how it was going to flow, how frequently I was going to drop the podcast, all of those things. And that's great. My mind is great at coming up with plans and strategies and how I think it should look and how I think it should roll out and sound. But once I get in there and start actually doing the thing, that's when I really figure it out, because I get feedback instantly. I get feedback just within myself. Like, how did that feel? Did I like talking about that? And then I also get feedback from other people. Are other people listening? Do they give me feedback? Do they like what I'm saying and sharing? Is it useful for them? And that feedback allows me to iterate and to shift and change and transform things as I go. If you are an entrepreneur, your business is kind of like a living, breathing, growing baby, right? Maybe it's a teenager, maybe it's an adult, but you're never going to stop growing. Your business is never going to stop changing and transforming. And the more you allow that versus trying to lock it in to something very specific, the more you allow for flexibility in your business, especially during these times, because AI alone is changing the world and changing how we do things and changing how we do business, especially online, especially through technology. The more you can be flexible, the more you can be in the moment and showing up with what is needed of you and what is needed of your business and how your business wants to grow and evolve and change and really accrue more and more success. Because I think when we invite that growth, allow that growth, when we don't put the expectation on ourselves to be perfect and we just start doing our thing imperfectly, maybe even a little messy, but we do it. We get the wheels turning, we get better at what we're doing, and then we get to, once again, grow more and more and more. So that to me is success, right? Letting ourselves grow, letting ourselves learn, letting ourselves not have to show up perfectly, but to show up and to do our best and to relish in the joy of sharing our gifts with the world. So you don't have to be perfect. Think about what it is that you've been sitting on and holding back on, and consider if it's perfectionism that is keeping you from taking action on that thing. And are you willing to be a little messy, to step out imperfectly, and to just have fun sharing your gifts with the world? All right, I'm going to leave it at that. I hope you are having a lovely day, whatever it is that you're doing. And if you are looking for someone to help catalyze you into action, to help you sidestep the perfectionism and start really taking action and making things happen in your business, I highly recommend checking out my one-on-one mentorship. You can check out the link in the show notes. I love to work with female entrepreneurs and help them kind of catalyze things into action. We get together, we work one-on-one, we break down the to-dos, and there's accountability, there's check-ins, and I'm really there to cheer you on and to help you take those messy steps and to refine things as you go and to elevate your income, elevate your brand, elevate your visibility, whatever it is that you are really desiring and needing. So check that out in the show notes. There's other things down there as well for you to check out. You can always download your free human design chart if you're curious. What is my profile, Amy? Check that out. Maybe you have a 3-line in your profile as well. So experimentation is even more important for you. All right. Have a beautiful day, and I'll catch you on the next episode.